Welcome everyone to a new tutorial. It's so gray and dreary right now in Washington. I thought I'd do some stones based on the colors of the Hawaiian Islands. Today we'll be working on the beautiful purple and green tones of the island of Kauai. First I'm going to make a stone. I'm using Ultracal 30, which is a gypsum plaster, and I'm measuring it out into a little plastic container here. I'm going to make two of them. So I'm measuring 18 ounces of the powder and adding 6.6 ounces of water and putting on a glove, and I'll be mixing this by hand and then pouring it into two molds that I purchased from the Happy Dotting Company. After I've poured it in all the way to the top of the mold, I'm tapping the sides to make sure that the bubbles release up at the top. And then I'm going to set those aside overnight and take them out of the mold and then let them cure for 2 more days before I start painting. So this one is done, and I've painted it with the Martha Stewart Beetle Black front and back, and it is ready to go. So I'm going to highlight the center dot, which the mold provides for you. It gives you a nice center to start from. And then I printed out a 7-segment circle from the internet. These are kind of hard just to fix by your eye on the stone itself and get them evenly spaced. So I just print out a little help from the internet, and that works just fine for me. So I'm just going to cut out the center of it so I can place that over that dot. And then I'm going to mark each of the segments with another dot using my General's charcoal white pencil. And then I'll be connecting the dot with the center using a tape measure and doing that all the way around. You can't draw across the stone because that's not the way these segments line up. And I'm going to mix up some paints here. I just wanted to show you the process I go through. I often will add a heavy-bodied acrylic, the Magenta Liquitex here, and then I'll add a craft paint like the Martha Stewart Fuchsia. And then I will also add some golden fluid acrylic in the Magenta. And I'll mix that up to get a nice vibrant color, and then add some Liquitex pouring medium to get it the right consistency. I often will add a combination of heavy body acrylics, either craft paints or iridescent paints, and then adding in the golden fluid paints to boost my pigment saturation so I get really vibrant colors. And I'm doing the same thing here with the turquoise, using the golden fluid, some craft paint, and some iridescent paint to get the tones that I like. So we're going to be using 3 shades of purple, 3 shades of turquoise, 2 shades of green, 1 shade of magenta, and some white and some sand brown. That's the Martha Stewart Acorn. And I'm going to use this color shift green just for some small top dots. You could use a different color. I just happen to like it because it's very, very vibrant. I'm using dotting tools today from Mark's Mandalas, and you can get these on Amazon, and the numbers correspond with the numbers on the tools. So first off, I'm starting with a large medium turquoise dot in the middle of the stone and making sure that that's flat so I can do top dots later. There will be a lot of top dots on this design, so make sure that your dots are nice and flat. So I'm setting in a second row of the light purple, and now adding that beautiful magenta, getting it as close as I can to the lavender dots there. I have a little stylus that has a ball end that I like to use to flatten the dots. Now I'm going to walk some white dots up along the magenta dot. All the way around. And then to do the second row, the first half as I'm walking up will be in the magenta, and then I'm going to stop, clean my tool off with some damp paper towel, and then dot the second half in this light lavender color. and do that all the way around. So we're going to have a two-toned petal on this row. First the magenta, wipe off your tool, and then go back around and finish walking the dots with that light purple or lavender. Now that that's done, I'm adding a small magenta dot just to fill in that space in between the row of the light lavender dots. Now I'm going to be adding a large green dot in between the petals. You can see in that first one I slipped a little bit, and I'm going to go back and get that with the Q-tip. Always have your Q-tips handy. And then swirl those nice and flat. And then I'm walking up two green dots using the same paint in between the petals just to fill in that space. So we're really making the colors of the Mokihana berry, which is used in Kauai for leis. They string them like beads, but you have to be really careful stringing them because the sap will give you a really nasty rash. So you got to be an expert lei maker to work with them, and then they usually wear them on the outside of their clothes just in case the berries leak. But when they string them together with the purple flowers, they're absolutely gorgeous, and they smell wonderful. They smell like anise. So now that I've gotten done with the white dots walked around the green, those berries, the Mokihana berries, I'm going to mix up a little bit of this acorn brown with some white to give me a medium shade of this light brown. This is hopefully to remind you of the beautiful golden sands of Kauai. And we're going to walk a row in that color right next to the white. And then we'll be walking a third row in the acorn brown, and I didn't mix anything with it because I wanted it to be a little bit thicker because we're working on the very sides of the stone now, and the paint really wants to run down. So a little thicker paint is better if you really want it to stay in place. And that's what's going to make our nice little sandy beach color here, all around that Mokihana berry. So we're going to allow all of this to dry before we add the top dots, and that's important. Try not to hurry it. I know you really want to get to them, but try and let them dry all the way just in case you have a mistake, and then you can get them off. So I'm using the lavender top dots, and you can see that I'm pushing them toward the inside edge of the dots that we're doing these on top of, and that creates a flower petal look. And we're doing this with all the top dots. Then I'm also adding a little lighter shade of turquoise on the middle, and now we're going to that gorgeous, beautiful dark violet, which is the color of Kauai. Every island has its own color, and this beautiful violet is the color for Kauai. There are a lot of outstanding Jaraconda trees that grow on the island that are just covered in beautiful purple flowers, and the bougainvillea and beautiful purple orchids that grow everywhere on the island. It's just like being in a garden no matter where you go. That's why it's called the Garden Isle. Now I'm adding some lighter green on top of those dark green berries. And before we do the swishes, I think I'm going to show you how to practice it on just a piece of cardstock here. Before we do it on the stone, it's good to practice them a little bit before you try and do them on the stone. And you can do it with a tool, do it with a toothpick. You're just dragging the dot in the direction you want it to go. And mainly it's just making sure your paint is the right consistency to make them drag as long as you need them to. So I'm adding a dot, and then I'm dragging it toward the center of the mandala. And this is in the deepest shade of turquoise that I mixed up. I really like the golden fluid Phthalo Blue green shade to add to my craft acrylics to get a really, really vibrant shade of turquoise. I haven't found any paint that's better than this shade to create turquoise that really is gorgeous when it's dried. So now that I've gone around in the darkest shade of the turquoise, I'm going to the medium shade and I'm going to add 2 swishes on either side of the swish we just did, kind of curving them around that petal. Again, this is something you might want to practice on cardstock before you try it on the stone. But these wonderful smooth art stones that you can make from the Happy Dotting Company mold is perfect for this kind of work. These swishes just seem to glide so easily no matter what tool you use, and it's really wonderful to work with. You can get great results. And that gives us our beautiful blue waters of Kauai. I'm adding a white to the center there for the top dot. We're working on the triple dots now, and now I'm going to that beautiful green color flash. It's that really bright, vibrant chartreuse that stands out, and just adding a little tiny dot on the inside of that petal, and then adding white to the inside of the lavender petal, and then the medium purple to the inside of the fuchsia petal. And then also the medium purple to the inside of the Mokihana berry. And then to finish, just a small white dot on the inside of the green petal. And that will complete our design. And hopefully it has all the elements that I wanted to add. The beautiful purple flowers of Kauai, the Mokihana berries, the sandy beaches, and the turquoise water. I also did this on a smaller stone so you can see how you can recreate it just by using smaller tools. So I'm going to let this dry completely. I'm going to finish it with a clear acrylic spray. You could also seal it with resin, whatever you prefer. And we're all done. Next up will be another Hawaiian island. I think I will be doing the Big Island of Hawaii next. So tune in.